Oh boy, it's been a while, huh? Not really a while, it's been a few days, but I missed you guys. And I kind of want to make this video because I do heavily disagree with Altex's newest video, which is the remakes. Remakes he thinks should happen, and I'm basically going to go over why these two films, there's only two films on the list. Everything else, I somewhat disagree with, but I can totally be behind. But there's two films that I really think should not be remade. And before I get into this video, I know people are going to say, oh, you're probably 100% against remakes. No, I'm not. I'm fine with a remake as long as it's done right. But there are certain films that I don't think need to be remade. One of them being Scarface, one being The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, you know, films like that, they should not, because I know Scarface remake has been in the works for a while and they just couldn't do it because guess what? Scarface is fine the way it is. There's no way to modernize Scarface. And I'm basically going to go over why these two films, which again I would never want to see remade. The two films being on the list include Jaws and Back to the Future. I'm basically going to go explain why these will never happen due to actual facts. You can look it up on the internet and based on how studio movies in that genre kind of do. So starting off with this is Back to the Future. That was produced by Steven Spielberg and directed by Robert Zemeckis. And Robert Zemeckis has already gone on record saying that he will not allow Back to the Future to ever be remade. He's already said that. You can actually look it up on the internet. There's been plenty of times that Universal has come to him to either like remake it or do a sequel with different actors, and he's completely turned it down because he said the only way he'll ever do another Back to the Future film if he had the original cast back. You know, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, which we know will never happen due to Michael J. Fox's health state, him dealing with Parkinson's for a while, and he's already said that another Back to the Future will never happen unless the original actors come back because he feels like the original actors is what made the movie the way it was, and it's a product of his time. And he's already turned down multiple chances, a lot of money to remake these movies because they said they're fine the way they are. They don't need to be remade, and I 100% agree with them. Back to the Future doesn't need to be modern. It doesn't need that new look. I mean, look at what happened with Ghostbusters. Look at what happened with Nightmare on Elm Street. Those totally flopped because they tried too hard to put CGI in it and modernize it, put lame ass jokes, and that's just how filmmaking is nowadays. That most directors don't care about their craft anymore. There's only a few directors out there who do genuinely care about their work. But in the case of Back to the Future, they were just overloaded with so much fucking CGI when most of the movie was practical. Yes, there was some special effects in the movie, but they were light. They didn't use too much, and what's in there actually still holds up. I do think the film still holds up to this fucking day. It doesn't feel dated to me. Well, maybe the second one because it was based in 2015, but the first movie doesn't feel dated. It, I don't, I don't see the point. That's why I totally am 100% behind Robert Zemeckis' decision to not let this film be remade. It's just one of those movies I feel like is such a classic. It really doesn't need another alteration of it. Maybe a sequel with the original actors, but that's never going to happen due to Michael J. Fox's health state. Michael J. Fox said he would be down to do it. Christopher Lloyd even said he'd be down to do it. But it's probably not a good idea with how Michael J. Fox is doing right now with Parkinson's. He's still dealing with it. He's been dealing with it for a long time. Maybe one day he'll cure Parkinson's and do one last Back to the Future film. But Robert Zemeckis basically said, that this remake will never happen. And a remake of Back to the Future will never ever happen because him and Steven Spielberg do own most of the rights to Back to the Future. They own most of the rights, and Universal will have to go to them in order to do the remake. So that's why that one will never happen, is because Robert Zemeckis himself says it should not be remade. If there's going to be another Back to the Future film, it's going to be an actual sequel to Part Three with the original cast in it, and I'm 100% with that. I'm fine with Back to the Future never being remade. I'm fine with it. It doesn't need that modern twist to it. Now we get on to the second film, which Steven Spielberg has come out and said that he doesn't want this film to be remade. This is just on how these type of films have gone. That's Jaws. We've gotten plenty of shark movies that have just failed on so many levels, and they've all tried to copy, with the exception of Sharknado. Most of the shark movies out there have tried to copy certain formulas and tricks that Jaws have done. Hell, even and they failed horribly. Even its official sequels, Jaws 2, 3, and Jaws of Revenge, have failed horribly in terms of these shark genre movies. And we haven't gotten the closest we've gotten to a good movie like this is Crawl, and that's not even about sharks. You know what I mean? We have not gotten a Jaws 1 quality type shark movie. We've gotten mostly Jaws of Revenge type quality of movies. I mean, fucking 47 meters down. Who gives a fuck about 47 meters down? It was fucking awful then, and it's still awful now. The fucking Jaws sequels were garbage. There's no way. Even they would have to go to Steven Spielberg first, which I'm pretty sure if he would probably say no. I'm pretty sure he would say no. He wouldn't back a remake of one of his most classic and financially successful movies. He wouldn't do that because people do consider Jaws a masterpiece in its own right, and I do agree. Jaws is one of those films I really do consider perfect. It to me has no filmmaking flaws. Steven Spielberg really put all of his heart and soul into the film, and at the time in interviews he's even said he didn't care about how much money he made off the film. He wanted to make the film that he wanted to make. Unfortunately, we have directors out there now who just want to do this for the money and don't care about the final product and how it turns out. Look at Ghostbusters. Again, examples with Ghostbusters and Nightmare on Elm Street, especially Nightmare on Elm Street. If you read the director interviews, you can see that he didn't give a fuck about Nightmare on Elm Street. He just wanted the money. He's never even seen a Nightmare on Elm Street film. I think personally this remake will never happen because, for one, I don't think Steven Spielberg would allow it, and two, due to how financially unsuccessful most shark movies are now, it would be taking a huge risk that the studio would not want to take, because if a Jaws remake flops, which inevitably it's probably going to happen, Universal is going to lose a lot of ticket sales and they're going to lose a lot of money, and they don't want to take that risk because people, film lovers, including myself, do realize that Jaws is one of those perfect films. It doesn't need a modern take. It doesn't need all the CGI garbage. It doesn't need all this blood and gore. Subtlety is what made this film fantastic. Subtlety is what made this film scary. And that's because of professional and fantastic filmmaking from Steven Spielberg. Now, can I see a remake happening in the near future? Possibly, if they get the right director. By right director, I mean get someone like James Wan, or get David F. Sandberg, or get Mike Flanagan. But those three have already said they probably won't be doing these style of movies. And if a remake were to happen, I could see it happening with those three directors. Nobody else, though, because honestly, even with those three directors, I don't think they could even capture the same kind of magic Steven Spielberg had with the original Jaws. It's just these two films. It's just some of the examples of films I don't think should be remade. Especially movies like Scarface. It doesn't need to be remade. 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club. And shame on you, Altex, for putting The Breakfast Club in your thumbnail. I was really triggered. I was about to say, dude, why? Why? Hell, I mean, I just don't think these two films should honestly be remade. One, it can't be remade because, again, Robert Zemeckis has said no countless times to Universal about a Back to the Future remake. And I'm pretty sure Steven Spielberg will also say no to a Jaws remake because, I mean, it's a film that many film lovers love, and if someone fucks it up, well, guess what? Their career is fucking over. Universal loses a bunch of money. I'm just, and plus, it's never going to live up to the original film, and that's why I think these two films are never going to be remade. So, sorry, Outtakes. I heavily disagree with the two films you put on your list, No Back to the Future and Jaws. I really do disagree. I don't think these films would work with a modern spin or anything like that. So, yeah, so that's my video. It's probably gonna be my only video for a while, unless Altex responds, in which case, oh boy, I will react to the video. But I just do generally feel like remakes are okay, but certain films I think should not be touched. And Back to the Future and Jaws are two films I definitely do think should not be touched. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not officially out of break. I'm just want to do this video because I thought it'd be fun, and I did generally disagree with Altex's video. In my opinion, I did heavily disagree. So hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.